Welcome back. I have a small favor to ask those of you who have been challenging me to daily games. I want to ask that you challenge me to an unrated game. First of all, it hurts a little bit when I'm playing those of you that are lower rated than me and trying to learn something, and I end up winning and getting rating points that I don't really deserve. So make those an unrated games. But it hurts even more when I'm playing those of you who are rated 500 points higher in bullet than I am in anything. Then I lose those games easily and lose rating points for no good reason. So please, if you're going to challenge me to a daily game, I'll enjoy it. I'll play my best. Hopefully one of us will learn something, but make those unrated games. Right here, I'm going to analyze a couple of games that I played a few weeks ago against one of you and got destroyed in both games. And I'm going to try to figure out where I went wrong. Here in this game, I started with the white pieces and my opponent played the Dutch defense, which I think I've mentioned on video that I don't know what to do against. I didn't know what to do against it. Stockfish says I should play G3, but I'm just not a fee and kettoing type of person yet. Maybe I will be someday. Maybe I will eventually learn the advantage of that. But instead, I played what I believe is called the hopped-in attack, which aims to prevent this knight from coming in here. My opponent put the knight there anyway, and Stockfish says my best move is to take it, which is good because that's what I did. My thinking was that I would damage their pawn structure one way or the other. I have a +1 advantage here, according to the engine, but we're only 2 moves into the game, or 3 moves in. My opponent took with the e-pawn. I don't know which one was better. I forgot to look. And I'm pretty sure that this is good. I don't have to worry about blocking in my dark squared bishop anymore with this pawn because I already got rid of my dark squared bishop. So that turned out to be my best move as well. And my opponent played d5, which for all I know is normal in the Dutch defense, to have a structure like this and then play here. This bishop isn't going anywhere yet, but it might soon because that pawn might be... Again, I'm not familiar with the Dutch defense. I faced it maybe 10 times, and I think I have about a 50-50 win rate. It says c4 is my best move here. Well, good. Again, that's what I played. So still up +1 here. Oh, I guessed it. That is what they did. Okay. So that was ill-advised. I now know, because that takes us back to near equality. What should I have done there? Okay, just for the record, I did know that they could easily block here with this pawn, but I thought because my c-pawn was here, I could come across after they blocked by playing g6. When they blocked the check, I would take off their d-pawn, which would leave them with 0 center pawns. And if they took with the queen, which I assumed that they would, then I would take back, and I would still have both my center pawns. That was the idea here, and I thought that whatever my opponent was used to playing with the Dutch defense, this would throw their preparation out. That was my idea by playing queen to h5. But it says I should have played knight to c3 here and not worried about this pawn at all. Or I could have just taken it. That's what it says here. I could have just taken it. They probably would have checked me here and I would have blocked with my bishop. So I think I would have been okay. Maybe, that would have been fine. Or even knight to f3 would have been okay here. But anyway, I told you the idea behind this was that I knew that they would block with the g-pawn, which they did. And then I would offer the queen trade here so that my opponent would have no center pawns left. And it says that my best move is to bring it back here, which, okay, that makes sense. It would be threatening this pawn and protecting here if they took. What I did was, what I said I would do is take that center pawn. I mean, for me, that's actually a pretty advanced plan. For my opponent, that was not an advanced plan at all. And they actually didn't care about this, and they just took here, which I didn't expect at all. I expected them to either block this or trade queens with me, which would have been their third best move, would have been to trade queens. Their second best would have been to go here, but they played their best move, which was to take this pawn. Well, now I don't have one of my center pawns, and I should have just taken it back. They don't have an immediate route to check me on this diagonal, so it doesn't matter that my f-pawn would be missing. I could take this back and then I would once again have 2 center pawns. But I had gone here for the queen trade, so I did that, which takes away my opponent's castling rights, which I thought was a plus. But the computer says we're very close to even here. If I play knight to c3, we'll be close to even. If I play h4, if I play knight to f3, and just ignore that pawn. Well, I thought now that their queen's gone, they can't come over here to check me on that diagonal anymore, so I went ahead and took it, which, if you remember 2 or 3 moves ago, was actually my best move. But now it's not because it allows this. Well, now that pawn's just hanging. So I look around, figure out which of my pieces can guard that pawn. Only one can guard that pawn. Stockfish says you can't guard that pawn. Leave it. Play knight to c3, knight to a3, knight to f3. You'll notice it's been suggesting those same few moves the last 3 or 4 times. I went to protect that pawn. And my opponent played here. And at that point, you see the little flag pop up on the screen. At that point, I realized I'm lost because I don't have any other pieces that can defend this pawn. They're going to feel free to take it. If they take with the bishop, I'm going to have to move out of check. If they take with the rook, I don't know which one would have been better. It says my best move is to go here. That's what I should have done, and then they would take with the rook. Okay, well, but we didn't do that. Anyway, I realized I was lost and I resigned. I realized I had made a mistake by that maneuver, but I didn't know what was bad about it, and I still don't. I see that Stockfish says what I should have done, but those were bad. And going back to before I played queen to h5, I was up +1. Again, you see that knight to c3, bishop to d3, taking that pawn, knight to f3 are all fine moves, but knight to c3 is my best one. I know that now because I've seen the evaluation, but I don't know why it was so bad to do this maneuver that I did, other than the fact of what happened, that they were able to take this and delay the queen trade. And then I should have taken back instead of trading queens at that point, left our queens facing each other as my opponent did. But I feel like some of that was a little too advanced for me. And maybe if I keep playing d4, I'm going to have to study the Dutch defense. But let me switch over to the second game I played. In this one, I had the black pieces. My opponent opened with e4, which is very common, obviously, and I played the Caro-Kann. Now, in this game, my opponent played the most expected move, and so did I. They advanced, which is, as I've said it many times, my most troublesome version of the Caro-Kann. Gotham Chess says to play c5 here. I haven't yet gotten comfortable with that, so I played bishop to f5, which the computer says is fine. h4 was a surprise. Normally that comes a little bit later. And the computer says that actually gives me advantage if I will play h6 here. I didn't play h6 because I didn't have the computer on. I played queen to b6. Number 1 aims at the d-pawn because a big part of the Caro-Kann is going after the d-pawn. We're going to go after it with c5. We're going to go after it with this bishop, and here the queen is going to put some pressure on it there. We're also going to probably put this knight here on d7 at some point, which puts an extra layer of protection on that square. This is a common move in the Caro-Kann to put the queen here, just not at this exact position. My opponent apparently was not looking at the engine at this point either, played g4. Well, I'm supposed to just bring the bishop all the way back at this point, which I did. Then, this is surprising, even now looking at the evaluation, played f4. Okay, now I have a definite advantage. But what in the world am I supposed to do? I've never seen this before. I can't take this pawn yet. I'm not ready for it. I've already had to retreat one piece. Now can't get this knight out. I guess I could play e6 to get the dark squared bishop out. Stockfish says knight to h6. Just put the knight right in front of all those pawns that are advancing toward you. Or play h6 and you'll be fine. That's what Stockfish said. No, h5 now. Oh wow, just h5. Yeah, Stockfish says just play h5 and you'll be fine. What about that? What if they're just going to take it and their queen is pointed right there? Then they're going to have, well, they'll have 2 h-pawns and this big hole here, but then what am I supposed to do? I don't know. It says if I play h5, they would probably take it. Oh, and then I would play knight to h6. This is some sort of advanced level thinking that I'm not accustomed to. So I just saw all these pawns and thought, well, let's go about with this plan. This bishop's now going to be trapped, so we're basically in a French, but now the French bishop is trapped here behind the e-pawn. But I am going to be able to get this out here probably by playing c5. At this point, I still have a slight advantage. I have an even greater advantage now because that blocks in their c-pawn. I'm supposed to play h5 again or c5. Now, I don't know why I didn't play c5 though, because that was my plan the whole time. I went ahead and pinned that knight, which is also kind of common in Caro-Kann positions if the opponent puts this knight in front of their c-pawn, but here it turned out to not be good. They brought this bishop out, and I'm supposed to play h5 again, but I took that, which was a mistake. Yeah, it was a mistake, assuming they take back with the b-pawn, which they did. And now they have all the defenders in the world on this d-pawn, And there's not much I can do about it because one of my things is, yeah, I should have played c5 instead of putting my bishop over there. Okay, I see that now. Regardless, this really threw me off and I had no idea what I was doing. So I brought the queen back knowing that there was no point in it being here anymore. And now my opponent's up +1, which isn't horrible. They get their knight out behind that huge row of pawns. Supposed to play c5. Why would I play c5 now? Wouldn't they just take it? Okay, well, that's what it says. Break up their big center, I guess. Oh, but they would have tripled pawns, I guess. And then I don't know. That's what it says. I should just try to triple their pawns. Oh no, or knight to e7, preparing to castle. Well, if you've watched any of my self-evaluations, you know I'm probably not going to castle into that. Like, that's a lot of... I mean, I know that's not huge firepower, but that's a lot of infantry people coming in there. And so I did that, thinking I could maybe just try to build up. If I can't build up in the center, maybe I can build up on the flank. Well, they brought their queen up. I'm pretty sure they weren't trying to castle queenside with this big hole here, but you never know. I did play the best move here, hoping to have some defense against some of this. And they're supposed to play h5 now since I never played it. But they put a bishop there instead. Oh, I did play one of my better moves here. It still says c5. It still wants me to triple their pawns. But now it says if I did it, they wouldn't take it. I played a5 and they played f5. So now, wait till that shows up. 1.5. Oh, knight to a6. One of my top 3 moves. Oh, it still wants me to play c5. Okay. Well, I played that, and they castled over there behind nothing. I don't know that I've ever seen that unless this came with a check. But they castled it behind nothing. Not following any opening principles that I know of throughout this game, but look at that. The whole idea of this was to try to reroute it around here and plug this up, because I didn't know what else to do. But now it's +5. Knight g5 is their best move. Well, they played that. And c5. Oh, it wants me to put the knight back. Well, I made the huge mistake of taking that pawn, which they have all kinds of pressure on. Not even their best move. Their best move is bishop to f4, but they took that pawn. I have no idea. Well, now I castled. That was not good. That pawn's still coming. They took this bishop. I took back. It's a look at that pawn fork. So I take. That's check. Guarded by the knight. So what do I do now? Rook to f7 is my best move. It says go ahead and just take there. But I moved my king, and now it's +13. They played that. It's +16. 18. Wait, no, +69. Stockfish, I moved Stockfish down here now. It's right below me, but +69 is the advantage that they have on move 21. And I felt like, I mean, you saw there were several times where I would have been fine if I had just played c5, but this Caro-Kann fell apart fast because of this huge pawn shove here and the fact that it intimidated me. And also about this time, I had checked the opponent's profile, and on their profile after that first game, I had seen that their rapid rating was about 500 points higher than me, and their bullet rating was about 500 points higher than me, and their blitz rating was about 400 points higher than me. So even though my daily rating was slightly ahead of them, that didn't matter because this is a person who does know how to play chess. Again, they didn't apparently in this game follow any opening principles or even an opening strategy other than throwing a bunch of pawns forward. But after that, I crumbled and I had no recourse here other than to just resign again. So I tried to learn something from this game, and the only thing that I picked up from this game is to play c5 a little earlier in the Caro-Kann. And if you'll go all the way back to here in the beginning, where Gotham Chess says to play c5 here, maybe I'll start doing that instead of continuing to play bishop to f5, despite the engine down there saying bishop to f5 is slightly better. Maybe I'll start playing c5 right now, and then I won't have to worry about later on in the game Stockfish telling me to play c5. That's about the only thing I learned from this one. And the first one, as I've said, I didn't learn much at all. back to my little request. If you are going to challenge me to a daily game, which I will enjoy, and hopefully you will too, please make it an unrated game. Thank you for watching. Thank you for playing games with me, and we'll see you next time.